Bring us
Jillian's here.
on.
Perfect.
Think you're all set? Good, so.
Okay. You're gonna, oh, okay, perfect. Okay, so I will go ahead and call today's Communications Committee for the Scarborough Town Council meeting to order. Today is Thursday, March 9th, 2023, and it is 3:05 p.m. Item 2 is roll call. Let the record show that in attendance, Counselor Katerina, Counselor McGee, and myself are all present. Item 3 is approval of the February 9th, 2023 meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Item 4 is budget communications calendar.
Should I put Jillian in?
Yeah, oh, yes,
Yeah, I think
please.
we
Yeah.
good to have her in for this.
But she doesn't call him.
Yep. So joining us is Jillian Trepini-Huff. She is the comms chair for the week. Hey, Jillian.
Hi there. Thank you.
Okay, so Liam, can you share the kind of flow sheet that we posted with the agenda packet?
Do you want this one also or the other one? Is this one okay?
Yep, it's the same one. It just, this is a draft. That's just one thing to note is that we can continue to update these dates based on what we talk about today and just how things shape out. But we've used this calendar template for the past 2 years of budget cycle. So we're just continuing with that theme. And this is also just to show areas of overlap between town communications, school communications, and meeting dates, and then also opportunities of where there's a chance for putting in content or articles that line up with the meeting dates as well. So the top bar shows those opportunities for communications. There's the newsletter on the 1st and the 15th of every month. And also the leader article, the council corner leader article, and the in the know column that the town has too. And the bottom shows all of the dates related to budget communications, budget workshops and presentations, finance committee reviews of different departments. So we can kind of use this as our framework for when we want to start talking about what, and if it's in response to meetings or if it's content specific, and also just lining up what the town topics are and what the town council communications are, and just so that we're not overlapping or duplicating efforts, but trying to hit various topic points. So I guess March is right now just kind of setting the stage and prefacing that the budget season is ahead and making people aware of that, making people aware that the webpage is live and can be used to go see what the meetings are, and just kind of getting a sense of what the budget is going to look like. And then April, after the budget is presented, will be really the time when we start building out the content, working with department heads to get their messaging out there about what's in their budgets, and just shaping it, the framework of like how we want to communicate about the budget and what the key themes are. And then we'll continue that into May, and it'll really switch gears into talking about kind of like how the process ended and looking ahead to the validation vote for the school budget. In the past, we have had the school work with us on reserving spaces in different newsletters and maybe as part of the leader column. So that's something we can talk about. And then also something we've done in the past couple of years is having a newsletter that's dedicated just to the budget. So that's separate from the regular 1st and the 15th rotation, but I have it dated on here as April 11th because that's kind of around the time frame that we've done it in the past. But that way we can kind of put all of the content that we have so far into one place and really drive people back to the website. So that's also a good opportunity for getting the BOE involved in some content, budget related content on there. So again, this is just a starting point and we can adapt, and if we are good with these dates, we can also just use these to kind of narrow down what topics we want for council corner articles and where do they fit in.
When I would recommend this election June 13th.
June 13th, okay.
Yeah.
I was surprised it seemed early, because I had it as June 13th for last year and I saw somewhere June 3rd. I should go back and look where I saw that.
So for the March 15th e-newsletter, I did ask the chair of the finance committee, John Clucci, to do our article.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that's what we've done in the
Yep.
past, right?
Yeah, and so he'll be taking charge of doing the content for kind of setting the stage for here comes budget season. This is what to expect.
What's the process is.
I'm happy to share, any of the key dates with him. He's savvy. He'll know what our resources are, to include those kinds of things in his article. And then always, when it comes to you. And so if there's an opportunity to link to the budget web page or whatever, then,
Perfect.
we can take care of that and get that on there too. And so I will send out a reminder text to him probably tomorrow morning, just reminding him that
Yeah,
that's
it's coming
coming
right up.
yeah. Other things, first of all, since this is the first time for you guys being on comms, like, you have any initial kind of reaction or response to the calendar or the strategy? I feel like this has been like a really cohesive strategy and plan. We lay it all out well in advance, we make sure that we hit our deadlines and our benchmarks. But we're always open to changing and pivoting if people think that there's something that we could be doing differently. And really, aside from written content, the other thing is to make sure that we promote public meetings. And then to, possibly discuss opportunities for public forums or roundtables or things like that.
I wasn't in communications before.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew that, and
I did.
we did this before.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I didn't look at it that closely yet, but are we planning on doing, neighborhood meeting type council corners?
So we can totally blend item 5, which is BOE communication efforts, into this discussion.
Yeah.
And get Jillian's input. But yeah, so from last year, we did 4 meetings. And we held them April 20th through the 25th. 2 of them were at town hall, 1 was at the public safety building, and 1 was just remote. And Liam and I spent several hours sitting in chambers, just the 2 of us.
Well, I know.
What kind of participation?
I was telling, exactly.
And so, sometimes we have held these, and I remember being at one down at the library 2 years ago, and,
Yeah.
25 people showed up,
Right.
and, we filled the entire 2 hours. Last year, it was a lot of just waiting until an appropriate amount of time had gone by and then kind of calling it.
Yeah, last year I think I think you're right. We had 2 maybe 1 in person only, 2 hybrid, and 1 completely remote.
Yeah.
The one that we actually had maybe half a dozen people show up to, I think was maybe the Saturday morning one.
Mhm.
And we had some other counselors and some residents who did attend that one. I think the takeaway was maybe fewer meetings,
Yeah.
allow hybrid participation and promote the 2 meetings.
Okay,
Just based on but also, last year was also a bit atypical because there was really not a lot of participation feedback through the budget process in general.
Yep.
So I
Right.
think that their efforts and energy were placed elsewhere is my
It was a
reason.
pretty mild budget.
Very.
Well, last year, if you recall,
So to
during the
speak.
spring, I think we were in the throes of some GMO exemptions.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of energy from the public
Yeah.
directed at that, and maybe
Yeah.
not so much the budget.
and I think with the anticipated budget numbers the school budget numbers are public now. We just got that notification from the town manager literally as I was walking in the door. So I think with just a quick glance at some of those numbers, I anticipate that public engagement will probably be a little higher. This season. So we'll see. But I'm definitely interested and will make myself available to do budget roundtables. You know, I always say the more opportunities we give people to reach us, the better, and I'm happy to do those. But I do, you know, I definitely could take on the feedback that we should just have fewer and maybe promote them more.
The only other thing I'd say is that I believe last year and the year before, there was some overlap between communications and finance. This year, that's not the case. And so in terms.
Oh, in terms
numbers,
of people,
right,
yeah.
so both you and John, we're
Yes.
both you and John on finance and communications,
Yes,
so.
we were.
I might encourage us to reach out to a member of the finance committee to see, because they're really the ones that should be.
Yeah.
Taking the lead on getting the feedback while you
Yeah.
kind of facilitate the
Yep.
process, so that's a
Yep.
little bit different too.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if it's a member of communications and finance.
Yep.
So you can kind of work together or just another observation.
Yeah. And then I think also. And we never solicited this feedback, and so this is just a hunch too, is that was April vacation week.
Mhm.
And because of the timing of some of the other town meetings, we just said, well, this is the best we can do. You know, we'll utilize April vacation week anyway, and I do think that probably drove part.
I
of
was
the
gonna ask
obligation.
you about that, cause when I look, you know, if you could say similar dates, should be
Yeah.
do the same thing again. April vacation.
I
Yeah.
will be not available. next
Right.
week.
Right, and I think
That'd be the
that's
council meeting that week.
right, I think that's reflective of. Other people not being available
Yeah.
too, so I would definitely want to shoot for maybe the week after April vacation. So the 25th through the whatever.
There's also been some discussion historically about when the best time to get public input is.
Mhm.
Is it at the onset following the manager's presentation? Is it after the finance committee has an opportunity to delve into some of the details?
Yep.
Prior to second reading adoption, so I don't know if we've ever come up with a good answer to that question, but I know it's something we always talk about. Do you want the feedback from the public at the onset, way too high, not enough information? Do you want them to better understand the details of it before giving that ultimate feedback on the answer?
Right. I feel like May 10th is late to still be having review meetings. Is that
Going to ballots.
what we did last year?
I'm trying to think.
So
You got
the-
ballots. as
How many
well,
did
you put
right?
there?
That's-
Yeah, there was. There,
Or there's one extra one.
yeah, there's one extra one.
Okay.
So it's presented on the 29th. And then finance committee reviews are April 12th. April 26th, May 2nd, the joint workshop on the 3rd, another review on the 10th.
And on the fourth,
Is there one on the
on the
fourth?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
it's back to back.
but yeah, I think last year it was earlier.
I don't think so, because we issued ballots for 3 days. And the council hadn't voted on it then, so this is in line with what we did last year. So if they take the final vote on the 17th,
Yeah.
we start May 15th with absentee
With
ballots.
absentees, right?
People can't return them until after the budget vote.
Well, so what is the feelings towards when would be the right timing for a couple of roundtables?
I think what you were saying about the end of April is fine. I mean, we won't have a final reading, but part of the reason to have roundtables is to listen as well as to talk.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think you want the first reading to happen. It would be my guess, have your first reading, then a roundtable somewhere in between that and
Right.
second reading, right?
Right.
gives you the opportunity to get the feedback, have a couple finance committee reviews. More feedback before a final vote.
So first reading's on April 5th, and then second reading would be May 17th.
Yeah. Cause it's gotta go through the school board, you
I think
know.
probably shouldn't one of them be between like May 4th and May 10th perhaps? Because I think you want to sandwich it, some of the public feedback between finance committee meetings or the reviews, so if there was anything needed in corporation, it could happen then.
I think another thing that we want to be cognizant too, and we have it in TBD, and I'm not sure if Jillian, you can shed light on this. When's second reading of the school budget? Because I think that public, if this is going to be a joint.
To be determined.
Yeah, but I think
So
they,
don't know if
no, I
there's a-
think
No,
they
it's
know.
not, but,
Yeah, I will get back to you on that.
Okay, I guess my only other comment would be that, it's not gonna be my only other comment. It's, but I think another comment would be that getting, I guess, Joan, is the BOE receptive to doing a joint kind of roundtable or public?
Yes, yep.
Okay. So I think that those should happen prior to the second reading of the school budget.
Yeah.
Because if they're gonna collect feedback from the public on and have that impact their decisions, then.
So what's the
They should
May
go over
3rd
that.
meeting? Because that's a town council school board joint workshop and public hearing. It's already scheduled for May 3rd on this. Is
Yeah.
that dedicated to something else? Or just the budget?
That's. Well, May 3rd would be a regular council meeting, is that right, Tony?
So we're having a workshop before the.
I think that'll probably be a 5:30 workshop prior to a 7 o'clock meeting. So,
I mean, it is nestled between two finance committee review meetings. And it's before the anticipated BOE second reading. According, maybe that's just where you had space to put that little block.
I have to look at the list, which is. Below.
so I think end of April before the May 3rd.
Yeah.
So it'd be after first reading, public hearing.
So in terms of engagement, if we tried to do one after first reading, before council has had their department reviews. I mean, obviously, a lot of questions and stuff get answered during department reviews, and I don't want to double our efforts by having the public here, knowing that we're going to have these in-depth budget presentations. But part of the roundtable is to find out where people's priorities are. And so that might make the public feel like they're more part of the process if we engage them prior to all of those budget review meetings so that they can make sure that that their priorities and questions get asked at those reviews. And then we could try and have one in between first reading and that first set of council meetings on the 12th,
So between the 5th and the 12th,
between the 5th and the 12th.
do you want to try to do it on a Saturday? Or are you gonna try to do it on?
But the Saturday would be the 8th, which is Easter weekend.
Yeah, I was supposed to say that's Easter.
It does not matter. The April calendar is out to get me all the time. You want to know how many birthdays we have?
Where are you looking to hold it? Make sure we have space available.
Probably do a public safety building again.
Tuesday would be out because we have meetings over there. We might be able to get it one part on Monday. Is that what you're looking at?
Would you prefer to do a weeknight?
I mean, I think the fact that that's Easter weekend makes it out.
So do we do
I'm
Monday?
away.
Yeah.
Do
Doesn't matter then.
Monday, the 10th?
I'm away.
But we'll make sure you have a Zoom link.
No.
I think,
I'm on
I think,
vacation.
I think we can shoot for Monday, the tenth.
Okay.
And get people's first initial reactions
Okay.
after first reading.
Okay.
See what their priorities are. You know,
What's the
hopefully
timeframe?
capture their questions.
5 to 7, something like that.
That's PD Explorers, but they can.
So Monday, April 10th, 5 to 7,
Yeah,
public safety building.
And then you want another one prior to BOE second reading. And do you want prior to the May 3rd workshop or after the May 3rd workshop?
I think we should shoot for that the week of April 24th.
Okay. Is that, April vacation?
No,
No.
the 17th through the
Okay.
21st is April vacation. So
You want to, do you want to do it April 24th, on Monday?
do both of them on a Monday.
2 weeks later? Same thing, 5 to 7?
Yeah.
Okay. College roundtables.
Jillian, is that tentatively, I know you can't speak for everybody, but in terms of us pulling something jointly together, do you think that you can get participation and that this will work? I know
Yes.
those won't conflict with finance committee meetings on you guys' side, right?
Well, I mean, I don't have her, you said the 24th?
Yeah, they're both Mondays.
Yeah, I don't believe so. And, we can.
And 5 to 7 is
Yeah,
typically
That's-
after the BOE meetings, but
I'll confirm the rooms available. I'm pretty sure there is.
okay, so Tody has offered to confirm the rooms available. Jillian, if you want to just circulate those dates and make sure that we don't have some like glaring oversight that, you know, we're not thinking of,
sure thing.
and let me know, that would be great.
Can I ask a really dumb question?
Yeah,
The new school, potentially? Does that appear anywhere on the budget? So that's gonna change.
Liam and I are both
dynamics.
taking a drink, sorry.
I know,
I don't know.
I'm looking at you, Jillian.
See if we put it down first. Somebody better arrange for this.
Cause that will be a
Wouldn't you
whole
see
different dynamic.
engineering fees or something? Wouldn't that be indicated in their budget?
This is, I mean, obviously the budget just got posted and I haven't had a chance to look at it. I doubt Jillian's had a chance to look at it. I don't mean to. speak
I
for
have,
Jillian.
I've looked at it and I didn't see anything in the capital spending. I mean, I'm just wondering,
But
and
it's-
I don't know.
I went
mean,
through
I
the
don't know how it
same-
works.
Through the same process with Tom over the library last year, though, that there was nothing. You know, there was
That's
no
why I'm
line
asking.
item, there was no capital expenditure. And so what was the exact number that we were putting out to referendum? Like, there was
Yeah.
a lot of which comes first and.
Right,
And there would, but my recollection is that it was not in the FY
that's
twenty-three
why
budget
I'm,
and it still
that's
went to
why,
referendum.
that's why I'm asking.
So I would not be
Yeah.
surprised if there was not
Okay.
anything in the FY 24 budget related to school spending, but I don't want to get quoted on that till I've had a chance to look at the budget book. But I agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, that's gonna
Cause that'll
be
drive
a
a whole
topic.
different
Yeah,
agenda.
yeah.
But we may wanna just bookmark that, you know,
Yeah.
in the back of your mind that we need to know that.
Okay, and then so. In terms of BOE, town council collaboration, we'll try this approach. The 2 roundtables, we'll promote those. I'm happy to do like a video or whatever to get those, you know. Do a little mixed media promotion. Then other joint efforts, Jillian, we wanted to kind of segue and. Jean Marie did it perfectly into seeing what you guys want to do about joint communications around the school. And I had proposed that possibly our Counselor Corner Live topic could be something around the school for the next one.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's not something I think town council wants to jump into with 2 feet and then be like out there flailing by ourselves.
So April, my understanding was that the committee had asked us, our 2 committees, to collaborate to do something. It doesn't have to be your Counselor Corner Live topic, but our 2 committees should host something public, I think. Of course, there's a new PR person, so there's some hopefully some guidance from her on that. Of course, she's just barely, I don't think she's onboarded yet. But that was the question for us, other than these budget workshops, which are separate, but
Okay,
so what, I'll take your lead on that. What if you think that should be a Counselor Corner Live topic or not? Either way, maybe we could just have like a special roundtable.
I mean, either way, I think one of the things that resonated with me that Allison had said way back was just to trying to create some consistency in our messaging, and people now know what Counselor Corner Live is, they know what to expect. And so if we hosted that under that banner, then people know what they're getting. But at the same time, I anticipate the school project is going to be an animal of its own in terms of whether how people want to engage with us and how frequently and who they
Well,
like to
and
have at these meetings. And so,
And my concern is, as you well know, is that we don't even have the whole town council on board yet.
Yeah.
So we need that first before
Well,
we can commit to doing.
we don't have the whole town council on board with the GMO, and I keep hosting these forums about that too.
Yeah, but that's like, to me, that's a whole different animal, because this is a whole different animal.
I'm
Just, I've been around long enough. It's like, I know how it works or doesn't. So I just want to be very cautious about committing to anything until we know what the heck's going on. I mean.
I
Okay,
think the committee, and Jillian, you can definitely correct me if my perception is wrong. I think that the school building committee is looking, for us, for the town leaders, the elected officials, to rally together to work with the professionals that they are hiring to help engage the public, because we are the conduits to the public.
On
And
what?
so on getting people's feedback on the messaging,
on what though?
on the consolidated school project,
But we don't.
unified school project.
But we haven't agreed on that yet. As a council. I'm being very honest with you. When I say that I've had communications with many counselors, not everyone's on board with that.
I don't think that it's,
They're waiting for the data. I'm waiting for the data. That's what my Counselor Corner thing said. I'm waiting for the data from the school department, and what are they doing? Where's it going? What's it gonna cost? Why is it the neighborhood schools don't make sense? I mean, there's so many unanswered questions that I hate to see us as a communications committee committing to something that we don't even know what we're communicating.
okay. I can
That's just
appreciate,
my
I can
opinion.
appreciate that. So, and I'm happy to, I think in terms of communicating this, I'm also very well aware that we cannot commingle communications about a consolidated school and the school budget referendum and our budget communication efforts. Like, we need to
Right.
get through budget
Right.
season.
Right,
So I'm taking this as an opportunity because we have Jillian here today as our guest, and because the building committee had asked Jillian and I if we had
Right.
had this discussion to
Right.
have this discussion. I can appreciate that you're not there yet, and that's.
well, it's not just
that's
me,
fine.
but Jillian, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So where is the school department right now on what their plans are? I mean, I know you're just bringing on, Laura, is that her first name?
Yes.
And other than that, do you know when you're gonna have a plan? I mean, I know they're in negotiations potentially on land, allegedly. But other than that, any clue?
I mean, land negotiations have been going on for a while,
Right,
for sure. And, they're, the numbers, the projections were just made public last week. And so we have a clearer
Which
picture there.
project-
So the future enrollment projections.
Oh, right, okay, okay.
So, sorry, yeah. Anyways, so, I mean, that was driving some of these questions, right? So that they're taking those numbers and they're working with those in terms of what the business case is. And so to answer your question, I don't know exactly when the full business case will be out. I anticipate it anytime now, but we're hoping to hear more about the land in the very, very near future. We have the enrollment projections. These are all conversations to be had.
Right. I mean, and so I guess what I would put forward is if we don't want to commingle the two things, then I would say tentatively, then we'd be looking at after budget to be doing whatever on whichever direction the school's gonna go in, on what it looks like for having the school on a November referendum.
So
That's just what I'm saying.
Tom just brought in the page from the school capital budget for us. And line item K3 school building project, 5-year plan, total cost $1,037,500, and then FY24 proposed budget. It also appears.
137 million. Okay, I missed that.
So to answer everyone's question, it is in their capital plan, and so that will most certainly become part of the budget discussion as we move through the FY24 budget, I'm sure.
Can't imagine it wouldn't. Okay, I mean, I think April and I can take this back to the committee and share that perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, that is totally fine, and we do need to focus on these budget discussions. I mean, that will be on the forefront of everybody's minds, so.
So that I have absolutely no problem, putting a pin in the school communications plan. I do think that there's a lot of balls up in the air and some information that is continuing to kind of be rolled out to us. And so I will take that and appreciate it for what it is, and we'll just have to circle back as it gets further down the process in terms of how we want to jointly work to communicate this. That's fine.
Okay.
Great,
Great. Thank you, Jillian.
thank you so much. Bye, guys.
I lost my agenda.
Counselor Corner, articles, topics.
Thank you. Item 6 is Counselor Corner articles, topics and authors for April. I had Karen reach out to me and ask if she could do an article on the community center slash kind of mingle that with some of the work that that committee is doing that has been charged to look at the Parks and Rec facilities master plan. And she would like April 15th. And so I had told her that I would propose that to you guys and tentatively schedule, pencil her in for the 15th to do an article on that. Which leaves us with.
What does
April
she plan to say about it? And the reason I asked is because ANC just last night put forward the ad hoc committee. So is that what her focus is gonna be on the article? Because I don't want us to get ahead of whatever.
Yeah, do you mind if I?
No, go ahead.
So, kind of the conclusion of ANC last night was that they're going to bring the ad hoc committee, community center charge to the council next week for a first look, and then ideally finalize it on April 4th.
Okay,
So after April 4th, then we would begin advertising for applications to be assigned to that committee. So her article on the 15th would be a good promotion
okay,
for that.
all right.
And then hopefully by mid-May, they would seat that committee. And then they'd be able to get to work early June. So it actually aligns well.
Okay,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure of that, yeah.
Yeah, great. So ideas or suggestions for April 1st?
April Fool's Day. For everyone's.
Well, I was gonna say, what else have we got cooking? Flash, who hasn't written one in a while?
Mine was just published.
Well, I'm just thinking like what's
Yeah,
really coming towards us that we should maybe put people on notice,
right,
because after we wrap up the GMO and the budget. I think that's gonna be, I mean, April 1st one that falls under the budget side of things.
Yeah.
Should be budget oriented.
So John's doing one. on the
John's doing one
15th.
on the 15th.
But
March
his is more
15th,
about
but
like
his
the
is-
process and.
That's your two going on the 15th. You got
My-
Karen.
No, we're
Versus April.
March, so Clutch's is March,
I'm like, yeah. sorry.
no worries, Clutch's is March, and then we need one for April 1st, and then Karen's is April 15th.
But also what you're saying is that the one on the 15th is just gonna be high level process,
Correct,
how to interact, get input. It's not gonna be anything on the
but
substance.
if it
of
was,
the budget.
yeah, so if it was budget related, it would be good timing as far as. The counselor perspective on budget. having
Karen,
been
take the first.
presented.
She really didn't want the first, and I think because we won't have had a chance to approve the charge of the
Oh, 'cause
ad
that's on
hoc
the
committee, that the 15th probably makes more sense for hers.
It's also like perfect time to discuss budget or at least raise awareness for it.
Yeah, whereas like April 1st might be a little too. Too early.
Do you wanna try to give, this is the concept of. What else is going on?
About conservation,
They,
Projects that are coming up. with construction phases.
yeah,
Is that time of year?
roadway,
Yeah.
that's not a bad idea.
You know,
Transportation projects,
you're the liaison to the.
Yes, I
transportation committee.
see how that all works
just
out.
volunteer.
April 1st, so I need to have that to you, what, next week?
No. Today's only March 9th.
You have to tell me like. 3 days before I
Okay.
really need it.
Okay.
Okay, next week, next
It'll be tomorrow at 6.
Yeah.
Yes, see, that would be fun. April 1st is the. Counselor Corner, okay. Article. And I will have that to you submitted by.
Whatever the week prior.
Call it the 23rd, 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
This is just my note.
Gives people a little break. to-
Yeah, just talking about
Yeah,
just something,
yeah.
just anything
Just
else. Great,
traffic,
great suggestion.
transportation Plans,
Yeah,
okay.
That timing works out because we have an article going in the leader next week about 2023 projects in the Downs TMP.
Oh,
And then I'm sending a board and committee newsletter on March 23rd. So there'll be some talk about the transportation committee work in that.
Right.
So
Thank
it
you,
follows the theme.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
that sounds good.
okay. And then item 7, March Counselor Corner Live recap. It is the one meeting from last week that I have not watched yet.
So
So I don't even have an idea how it went other than.
I'll be candid when I describe it. I think the first hour was probably more of like a. More of a Bob.
And that's what I saw.
Right.
After the first
Um,
hour.
You know, I think the second hour of it was people kind of starting to understand where our real starting point was. The obstacles and challenges that we were trying to overcome when crafting it. So I think by the second hour, you start to see people starting to contribute like as in problem solvers, like where Councilor Anderson and I were really kind of coming from, which is here is really what we're dealing with, like how do we go about this, so. I would classify it in those two categories, it was like two different meetings.
I would too.
Yeah, I think there was that first, a little bit of the venting about
Yeah.
around it, and then afterwards it was like, okay, what do we do? We've had a couple suggestions come in. But I mean, I think that's why you hold this, right?
Yes.
It's good. I think we took some of the feedback from that meeting and we've incorporated it to the draft that's currently being circulated around. I would say the overall sentiment though, from the people that attended that meeting was that the lower the number, the better. So,
Number of permits.
yeah,
Well, because that was who was there. I mean, the people who were, I was there.
Sure.
The first hour. That's why I'm like, oh my God. But the first. The group that was there is a group that, in my opinion, and again, I haven't been to Council Corners lately. But it's the same people. And they weren't there to listen. They were there to push back and say no and complain and whatever, which is frustrating. But I was happy to hear that after the first hour, it sort of changed. My concern is when we do these Council Corners, I mean, great, these aren't therapy sessions. But we should feel, and I'm not blaming you guys at all. You guys were so prepared and had such a great presentation that it was just so frustrating for me to watch to be sitting back of that audience and like, I had to shut up. I so wanted to stand up and go, wait a minute, guys. These counselors have done all this work. They're doing this presentation for your benefit. And you don't have absolutely no appreciation, none whatsoever. But I think Council Corners should be time limited. You know, they shouldn't drag on forever. They should be a little more agenda driven, just so you don't have crowds get out of control, so to speak. But that's my opinion.
yeah, I mean, we went in and we knew we were up against the budget for the school. I'm sorry, the enrollment study.
Yeah.
So we had hoped to. John Anderson and I had hoped to squeeze over here a little earlier than Council Corner ended, but we did end at 8, so it went from 6 to 8. And you know, it was, you know, I'm very familiar with the people in that room and I do appreciate a lot of their sentiments. I think part of that communication, which is why we're here, is having people understand. A, you know, where are you? B, where are you trying to go? And then what are your obstacles? And I think once we were able to walk through that process, most of the people in that room were kind of like, okay, it sounds like you're doing the best you can with what you got to work with.
Yeah.
You know, I would say that would be the vast majority of the opinion of people in that room. So,
So we always say, we engage with the people who come. You know, that this is an open invitation to every single person in town who wants to come and talk. And if we draw the same crowd, we draw the same crowd. I think part of it is a little bit of a therapy session. So I think that there is some kind, you know, that there is some level of venting or just being ragey and mad at us that is healthy. Obviously, if that dominates the entire thing and it goes on and on and on, then, you know, we
That's
as
easy.
counselors have to be able to, you know, moderate the meeting. But
that's the forum. you want
that's
it.
the forum.
I think
Yeah.
that's where you want it to occur. right?
Yes,
Rather than at a-
yes, then at a council, exactly. Oh, this to me sounds like a huge success. I thank you guys for taking over that one.
I just think 2 hours is too long. No,
I
I'm
think-
serious on anything
I
like
think
that.
it's interesting. It's the topic, I think drives.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
right.
drives the interest levels, so. You know, and I would say that everyone in that room, I mean, we all know who those people were because they're
Right.
actually. Pretty consistently communicating with us on various topics throughout the town, so
Right.
we're all very familiar with them. And they're also are the type of personalities like ours that like to offer input and suggestions, and I think that's,
Well, that's what was
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah.
Is that nothing drives me crazier than people saying, I don't like that, and this and that, and not offer a solution. Let's say I would prefer that we do Y as opposed to X.
so John, right at the end of the meeting, that's exactly what he did.
Okay.
And he went to every individual in the room and said,
Good,
what, if you had your matching, what would you change?
yes,
So that was actually like, you start to hear.
Yeah.
Some people give you some of the feedback, which
Right.
was keep it to 224, which is the lowest possible we'd be able to. And then others, I think were just kind of still processing
Mhm.
what they were listening to and. Because look, we've had weeks of meeting in here to go over and come up with a draft. And I mean, that's how long John Anderson has been chewing on it. Can't imagine people that just see the final output. And then you give them an hour and a half to digest it all and then try to get really significant feedback from them is difficult. I mean. Just based on how many hours I know we've invested in understanding the issue.
Yeah.
So. No, I think it's good form. Definitely. What's the next one? What's the topic for the next one?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we had agreed to do them quarterly. And I think in recognition that after the committees all change, depending on how many people shift committees and whatever, I think it was really good that we got this one done, end of February, early March, I think, like, good job. So, now we're in a position to hold the next one after hopefully a successful school budget referendum, but before people really check out for summer.
right,
And so I think we should kind of look at that last 2 weeks of June, prior till July 4th and set that as our target date and we can develop the topic.
school should, if they're not ready to communicate by then,
Well,
that could be your topic.
and I think that's what we were driving to earlier. I don't think that we were suggesting we should have a counselor corner live on the school within the next.
We're also
several
gonna have
weeks,
a vote in June, aren't we? Looking at Tony,
Yeah, June
is there
13th is
anything
election.
significantly on the ballot that might be worthy of topic for or something like that?
It's just the school budget and Portland Water District trustee. We had no nominations.
Any state,
No state.
no state.
No other states. Okay, well, so I think, keep your
Figure it
ears
out next
open. I mean, yeah, like, this is one of these things that evolves and as it gets closer. We have kind of come to the realization as a prior committee that Allison really can't promote it much more than 2 weeks in advance because
Right.
people just don't
Yeah,
have the
we need to have
bandwidth.
it.
And so, this is kind of one of those things that we can set, at our early June meeting and then still execute toward the end of June.
right,
Okay. Future agenda, public comment. Anyone wishing to make public comment today?
Is there anyone here?
Yeah.
Hi, Debbie.
Okay, I will go ahead and close public comment. Item 9 is future agenda items. We've got a pretty set standard thing, that we need to accomplish every month, but for our April meeting, really making sure that we're aligned on the budget calendar, that you guys will have had some chance as staff to kind of develop the themes and the talking points. So we'll go over those as a committee and make sure that we're aligned and offer input on those. Anything else?
When is our next meeting? The 13th?
Yeah. Next meeting is April 13th.
That's a Thursday.
Yeah. I'll be there. for that.
Okay, I will go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?